What a piece of junk.
This is the Shattered Order Podcast.
Go switch off.
If you're looking for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes news, information, and theory crafting, you've found the podcast you're looking for. With your hosts, Goodnight Punk and Windkiller Inc.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 153rd episode of the Shattered Order Podcast. I'm your host, Goodnight Punk, and not with me, as always, is my good friend Wink, because he's already done for the week. Instead, in the crossover of the summer, we're bringing over the UncannyMisterH from the Galactic War Report. What's going on, man?
Hey, good to be here. I'm glad we could show up that Infinity War.
Yeah,
Best crossover.
Yes, there you go.
I guess it was Endgame this year. Sorry, Endgame.
Yeah, let's say that's a few years old there, or is it a year?
Yeah.
Was last year Infinity War? I don't know.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. We had Wink on our show last night, or Sean had him on there. By all accounts, it went well. What I heard on the way to work today was good. Yeah, so I'm excited to be here and see what else we can dig into.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was nice. We were thinking about doing some preps for GOs and GACs, and then all of a sudden there's a Brood Alpha kit that drops. So
yeah, I'm not. We don't know where he's going to actually land yet, right? As far as being able to grind him out.
I don't think so. That's the one. That's the biggest question for me, actually, because I'm curious. Because as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I've read, it seems like he's going to be the Hot Han, or who was the one we farmed for Darkseid? Oh, Stark. So it seems like
yeah.
It seems like he should be released any time now if we're gonna need him in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So maybe he's dropping somewhere on Monday, Tuesday, when that update drops, and that's why they announced the kit tonight. That would make sense, I think, because you got to give us some time to farm them, right? I know people are gonna go nuts on that when it drops.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be a special mission. It won't be one required to get stars, so probably not if it follows the same methodology they have used.
As far as I can guess. And then we're just kind of jumping all over we're just getting right into it right here. But
see, I told you, having an outline is it's anathema to me. I don't know.
But it's funny because it feels like Brood Alpha is going to be the key to this Ackley fight that we'll talk about here in a bit, which will also be the key to getting Wat Tambor. So if we can't get into that battle in the first Darkseid, then half people might not even be able to get him in the first one. So I'm thinking we'll be able to faro.
Probably. I mean, Stark was in guild shipments, right? And that's the only place he is. So unless you've really been saving up your guild currency, if it follows that pattern, the Geo Bro is not going to be really super attainable, even inside of 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially like you're saying, if it's guild, unless they put it on its own node like Stark is now, but I don't think Stark was on his node when it started.
I don't believe so. He could have been. It's been so long now. I don't remember.
It's been a minute. So
yeah.
Now that we're past that, I want to say give a big shout out to you guys on the Galactic Report, Galactic War Report, appreciate you guys reaching out, us all getting together after all this time. It seems like I think you guys are on what you did last night was 159 for you guys.
Something like that. Yeah, we're pretty neck and neck as far as who's been on longer.
Yeah, it's been weird. This is 153 for us, so I think I remember, and it's funny because I remember, and goes back way back. I don't know if you remember the podcast, if you want to call it a podcast, but Ritual Gaming. Do you remember those guys?
I mean, and the name rings a bell.
It was three dudes who sat around a kitchen table with a Yeti and talked at it. So the sound quality wasn't great, but that was the first Swugga podcast that I remember listening to.
Yeah.
And then I heard your guys for a little while we were figuring out ours, and then we came along. It's just funny how things progress, and I know that there's now, a whole bunch after that. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
We're pioneers, really. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been 3.5 years, 3 and some change at this point. Because I think we were April 2016. About.
I was just looking, and I think our first episode was about 2 weeks before mods came out. So that third episode when Mod Apocalypse was happening was a fun one.
Yeah, these kids these days, they don't. When we talk about when Protection came out, they're like, "What? That didn't exist." No, it wasn't a thing.
The thing that killed Royal Guard.
And a great many other things. It changed the game so drastically when Protection suddenly existed. Came out of nowhere.
Well, I think we have a lot of crossover between audiences, between our show and yours, but if there's some out there that don't know about your show, go ahead and tell us what's up with Galactic War Report. What do you guys like to do over there?
We are a Galaxy Heroes podcast, obviously. We talk about Galaxy Heroes, usually news of the week. We try and pick a not necessarily immediate newsworthy topic to kind of dig into. Like we have our territory mastery segment where we pick something about a territory war battle and kind of dig into the little bit of the nitty gritty on it, something that you don't necessarily think about every day. We were tracking the meta pretty heavily and talking about the changes on a week-to-week basis. But that pretty much died during the Traya meta where it didn't change for 6 months.
I was going to say Jedi Revan, but then I realized when you said Traya, it clicked even more. That has been a while. Like that.
It was touch and go during the Palpatine meta too. Like we've had a good run of things not going away. But yeah, that's me, myself, and Sean do it. We recently were at Star Wars Celebration where we interviewed 4 or 5 of the employees from Capital Games. We've had a lot of them on the show. We've been lucky enough to have that. So yeah, we've been around. We were game changers until recently.
Quite recently, it feels like.
Very recently, yeah. It's funny. We resisted becoming game changers originally because we liked kind of being outside the system, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But then they had that trip to California when they were doing the Traya reveal, and they're like, "Well, you have to register as game changers." And I'm like, "Well, okay."
Well, you got me. You pulled me in.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, that's the one thing that never happened while we were in it before today. Is there no trips at the point after we joined? And I'm like, California's so close to me. I would have loved to gone back over there. But
yeah, I'm in Detroit, so it was a bit of a hike for me, but it was still a lot of fun. I also had some pretty severe tummy trouble the entire time I was there, so it had its ups and downs.
I mean, it's kind of close to Mexico. I think I drank at the water when I lived in San Diego, so you don't have to worry about it too much.
It's in Sacramento, so it's not that far south.
Very true, very true. Well, awesome, yeah. So I've listened to you guys a lot over the 3.5 years. So a lot of times you don't want to listen to your own voice, so you go and listen to everybody else, you guys, and
it's something I had to get over early on in podcasting because you have to be able to listen back and see how much of an idiot you sound like.
Yeah, where did I screw up?
Yeah.
I'm drinking soda tonight, but half the time I used to be how many words were slurred at the end of the podcast as opposed to the beginning.
Sure. That's a good way to track it.
Yeah, exactly. So I had some questions I wanted to ask you just to get, for anyone that might not know the answers to these about you,
Sure.
just to kind of get to know you. So we'll start it off with your favorite Star Wars quote.
It's got to be Jabba the Hutt. We go Uta Guta Solo. Because it's so universally usable in everyday life.
Oh, I know I say it at least 3 times a day. So.
I use it a surprising amount, believe it or not.
It's like hello for you, right?
Yeah, basically.
All right, which one's your favorite Star Wars movie?
I am contractually obligated to say The Last Jedi because I did like it, and so I'm forced to do that. It's either that probably or Revenge of the Sith, honestly. And it's mostly on the strength of the battle on Mustafar.
Dude, twins, because Revenge of the Sith is my favorite, and it has everything to do with Anakin versus General Kenobi. So I'm with you, man. And you're the only person who has ever said that for a similar reason. So I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, Anakin is, honest to God, evil. I mean, there's no, he's just trying to do the right thing. Nah, man, he turns hard.
He just killed a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
Now that whole fight scene's great. The ending of it is great. Just the interaction between Anakin and Kenobi. I go back and watch that section of that movie all the time. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, how about this? Favorite Star Wars character?
I don't know, honestly. There are so many I like. None of them are main characters generally. Mostly because I love how quickly things become ridiculous when you're not a main character in Star Wars. Even side characters, like the guy who tries to sell death sticks to Obi-Wan Kenobi, whose name is Alon Sleaze Bagano, because it's Sleaze Bag, and it's so dumb, but I love it.
Right.
But other than that, it's probably Ventress as far as like actual characters go, because she actually has a very interesting growth over the course of the Clone Wars.
Well, it's funny too because she's one of the few characters you could say deserves like 5 different tags: scoundrel, bounty hunter, night sister, separatist. Like, I don't know if, well, she is a separatist in the game, so maybe she does. But
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, should she really be though?
I don't.
I mean, if she has it, why doesn't Django?
Why doesn't Savage? Wasn't he Dooku's?
Yeah.
In the same type of way.
Well, he hung around for like 4 episodes, but
yeah, well, and he was in there before. Well, we could talk about who was in before who forever. So
True.
All right, then as far as that goes, who's your favorite Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes characters?
I love the Imperial Troopers, which I do include Gar Saxon and Imperial Super Commando in, despite the criminal act of them not having that tag.
It's almost as weird as Veteran Han and Veteran Chewie not being Resistance.
Yeah. Well, even then, they like hung out with the Resistance, right? But Gar Saxon and the Super Commando were literally part of the Imperial Army.
The Imperial Army, yeah.
But I've always been a sucker for like the faceless armored masses, which is why Clones is probably a close second one. Like the Clone Sergeant, like the first character they hand you in the game. I love that stupid character. But they're great. They got fun synergy ever since they fixed Veers forever and a day ago. They've been one of my favorite factions. I gear 12 of those guys real quick.
I can honestly say I would love to have them there, but mine are still hanging around Gear 10, which is where I got them for Darkside Territory battles, I think.
For longtime listeners of our show, or really if you tune in at all, I do a lot of bad things in the game. Like Imperial Troopers were like one of my first all Gear 12 teams, and I tried putting them in Arena for a long time. It went poorly, as you would expect.
You're an Empire guy too, though, right? You have a lot of the Empire geared.
That was my first like big project when after I did Troopers. I was like, you know what? I'm going to gear 12 the entire faction.
Because I remember
So
hearing
I
on
did
your show
that.
about you gearing. You were the one that convinced me that Stormtrooper was good. I remember that episode specifically.
I did?
You were talking about it, and I went back and I looked, and I actually liked his kit. I don't know if I still believe it too much, but the whole he's like a reverse version of Stormtrooper Han, because Stormtrooper Han gives your team turn meter when you hit him. If you hit the Stormtrooper, I believe he takes a certain amount from the other side, or something.
He does have what I think is the worst Zeta in the game, though.
Yeah, Wall of Stormtroopers is it called?
Right, he gets offense and defense up for every character who's dead.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so that's the one you want to make people do when they lose bets.
Right.
Yeah, Wink kind of got out of. He had a bet with one of the guys from our alliance that does the trivia, and he wound up having to do Stormtrooper Han and Rose. So one was decent. Stormtrooper Han's is pretty decent, but the Rose one.
My Resistance and my Rebels are so bad I couldn't even tell you. Those are probably, I think, Stormtrooper Han even for me is like year 8, 7. I have a very strange roster.
I want to see it now. The hear that?
You want me to pull it? I'll pull it up. It is.
Yeah, if you toss it to me,
weird.
I'll check it out later. Because I am curious. But I mean, like I gear some things on off times that are weird. Like I have a Gear 12 Gamorrean Guard. I geared the Ewoks back when they were bad. They weren't bad, but they weren't used for anything. And so
I started gearing those guys back right around when protection was a thing. I was like, this is my arena team, and it was very bad.
Yeah. They still don't hit very hard, but they hit often at least.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so what's your current arena comp? What are the team you're using?
I am rolling with Padme and pals. So I got Padme, General Kenobi, Anakin, Ahsoka, and currently I'm using R2 because it's helping me get past the Jedi Knight Revens. If I can get my R2 fast enough, I can stealth, force the mark on Kenobi, and live through that first turn. It works.
Yeah, that makes
adequately.
sense. Yeah, that's because I used to do that with Darth Revan actually when I first started with Darth Revan. Was to make, because everyone's still using JKR at that point, so it was make Jedi Knight Revan go after Darth Revan because no one can assist, and then from there just do your thing.
Right.
So worked out pretty well.
Yeah, fortunately, Padme and pals have not too much trouble with Darth Revan, at least without Malik. I mean, he stacks up all those debuffs on, she clears them, turns them into courage, and then they just start wrecking stuff.
Hitting for huge damage.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what I've seen. Like more people say they have more problems with Jedi Knight Revan than they do a Malik or a Darth Revan without Malik.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. All right, most wanted character not in Swugga.
Dr. Aphra, the rogue space archaeologist from the comic books who first showed up in the Darth Vader run after Marvel took back the license, I guess probably 5-6 years ago now. She's a great character. Her standalone comic's been very good, and it is criminal that she's not in the game.
I think it was kind of... She's considered canon right now, right? Still?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, her comic is still ongoing.
Okay, so because I was trying to figure out if she was included in the QA, they had a question about whether Legends would end up in the game, and they pretty much said no, so I couldn't remember if Dr. Aphra was Legends or canon, so...
Somebody specifically asked about Dr. Aphra in that Q&A, and Top Hat said that there's no plans for her right now.
That's maybe what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he's just being cagey about it. but
You could be.
she was in Force Arena as a launch character. We can't get her at all in this game.
Yeah, true. Wasn't she the pal or the buddy for Vader?
Yeah, well, that's how she
game?
wasn't when she first showed up in the comics.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
All right. Another fun one. Biggest character gear you regret?
I can answer this in the only way I can, and that's that I love all my babies equally, and I could never, regret gearing any of them.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't even know how I would answer that. I mean, I guess I can't think of any recently. I think maybe back in the day when Gear 9 was the max and I Gear 9 Chewbacca, back when using that gear on Chewbacca was not a good idea. That might have been one.
Yeah.
But he's still at Gear 9, so I can't really say that's a regret anymore.
I mean, there are things like I rushed and got my probe droid to Gear 12 and dropped a Zeta on him. But that's just because I liked the character, not because I had no real expectations of him,
his
breaking
Zeta,
down walls.
At that point, that would have been hard to use, right? Because isn't it target lock enemies do something or other?
Cannot gain buffs.
Okay, well then I guess if he puts it out, it's not that bad.
The problem is everybody cleanses all the time.
Yeah, well,
it's a cleansable debuff.
If his target lock specifically was locked, then it would be a lot better. But
right, if there's like another droid they put on saying that their Zeta is target locks cannot be dispelled, that would be amazing. I've wanted ever since, because he came out right before T3. Between that and then IG-88, that was the 3. I was like, this target lock thing, it's going to work. I got an idea. It's going to be great. And then it just has never amounted to anything because everybody cleanses always.
Yeah. And when the 3v3 Grand Arena started, I put out an image of 3v3 teams. And one of the 3v3 teams I put on there was IG-88, T3, and Probe Droid. Because I'm like, man, that would be awesome in 3v3. But no one really tried it. No one had the Zetas to try it. And on top of that, what you said, everything would be cleansed anyway. So it would be really hard to get to work. Well, but that's just a team that sounds fun.
It didn't do any good because I tried it because I have all those Zetas.
Oh, yeah?
All of them are Gear 12. It was bad. Because none of them do enough damage. IG-88 is supposed to be this glass cannon, but he doesn't do squat.
Yeah. Yeah, none of them really do. It's kind of crazy. And I remember thinking T3 was going to be the droid nest with that second special, but
no,
that never happened.
I have both Zetas on T3, and I run him with my Grievous team, and he does, he helps out a lot. He doesn't really do much still.
Gotcha. Well,
he's actually my second highest power character as I look at this.
T3 is?
Yeah.
Were you the one that got the what was the name of that title last week for not using Bastila but using T3?
No, because I still don't have Revan.
Okay.
So it was not me.
So you're not going after Malik then. So that would be hard to get the Malik achievement.
I'm hoping that this next time around that I'm going to unlock Jedi Training Rey. I figure it's about time.
Get ready for that Heroic Sith raid that's coming out.
I've heard about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, was that this month?
Grinding I have no idea.
Okay.
I just finally finished Old Man Han, and
I'm
ready.
Well, it's just funny because Jedi Training Rey at some point is obviously it's a great character to have, but then on top of that, to get her, you have to farm Chewbacca and Han over anything else in that cantina on a 16 energy nodes both, and it's like there are so many better things that I could have.
Honestly, the only reason I even got to this point is because I had an idea because I went all in on the Kira scoundrels when they first launched, and I was like, that veteran Chewie doesn't look too bad behind a Kira lead. But there's just better options. But I ground him out to 7 stars at the time, and then all I needed was Han, I figured I'd suck it up and do it.
Gotcha.
It's time that I have a passable resistance team.
Yeah. I don't have Rose or Holdo still, so mine's pretty much
No.
all the old guard plus Jedi training ray.
I mean, like my resistance is offensively bad for a character with a player with a 3.6 million galactic power. My Finn is gear level 7, and he's the highest other than the 3 droids.
Oh jeez.
So it's very bad.
Yeah, I can't think of a faction where I'm at like that. I know I have some, but I can't think of them. They're maybe no, I don't know. I know a lot of my Rogue One are like that.
Yeah, I finally worked on those guys a good bit, but then we maxed out light side territory battle, and I kind of just stopped.
They're like, I don't need to worry about gearing these guys anymore.
Nope.
No,
My
I'm
work
a
here
lot
is
like
done.
that. Yeah, we have light side max too, and I'm like, maybe someday I'll gear these guys. I don't even have the Zeta Jin, so I'm like, I'm not doing it now.
I'm not putting a Zeta on those chumps.
Yeah, exactly.
Too many other worthless Zetas to use.
All right, last question, and I think your answer is going to be similar than a lot of people. But who will be your first Gear 13 character?
Grievous, because he's going to be real good, and I like that team a lot in Arena. I think that's really the only place I think that it shines, and it still doesn't shine that bright. But I have all those fools at Gear 12, at least 12 and a half. I'm still working on getting the stars on Droidica and B1, but everybody else I got ready to go. So I would love to be able to. I'm hoping that Watt is going to bring that team up, since he's going to have the Separatist tag, and I'm hoping he's going to interact with them. So I'm optimistic, and I'm just one piece away out with Grievous. So yes, that's almost assuredly going to be my first one.
Makes sense. He's my most recent Gear 12, and I just need one med pack, because med packs out of all the Gear 12 pieces are the one I'm always out of. So,
well, the ones
when
you get them, you want to use them right away.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I did his Gear 12 plus pieces first, then another med pack, and I still have one left, and then he'll be maxed. So I think that's the team I'm working on now. So hopefully I'll have them all up by the time I'm ready to buy a Gear 13 piece, and he'll definitely be the guy, because that team.
They're a fun team.
Yeah, it's super fun. Well, I don't have the sounders, because Wink usually does the sounders from his end on the show. So for everyone listening out there, you're not going to hear the sultry female's voice today, but and I'm not going to sing it. So I'm not going to do impressions like normally when we're missing these. So I'm just going to ask you, Mr. H, what did you do in Swugga this week?
I was grinding Shakti's Cryotech. I don't know which one they are. That stupid new piece of gear. Since I have some good clones, I really like to get her up and running.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a great PvE team, so I've been grinding those out, working on extra gear on my clones, making sure they're ready for Gear 13 when the time comes, and same for my Separatist droids, for the same reason. But there's really, I think, a lot of us in the same plan, where there's kind of waiting to see where everything lands before we dump a lot of resources into anything in particular.
Yeah,
because there's so much coming out.
It's I think Shakti's a pretty good idea for gear, even at gear 3-star, because at least on offense you don't have to worry about her defensively, but I think she's going to be able to pull together, especially a strong geared team like yours, into a possible offense counter for some teams. So
I did buy that $20 pack to get her up to 4 stars.
4-star?
Yeah. That's the kind of thing that our patrons get to pay for, is me spending it on characters that are not going to ever be in the meta. But in this territory battle, because today was the first day I couldn't use her after the refresh because of the star requirements. But I mean, the regular clones would have torn apart those other nodes anyway. But with the Shakti lead, it was good. I haven't dropped any Zetas on her yet. I probably will in the end. But I gotta imagine with the eventual light side Geonosis battle, it's gonna be a good move to have her ready to go. So
yeah, for sure. Especially, yeah. I'm hoping. Man, I've fought myself. So the only character I've ever really bought, actually, I've bought several. One was Nest, because Nest was a good one to buy. I bought all the characters before Jedi Knight Revan with the pack. That's 600 crystal pack.
Sure.
I think those were the
you
ones.
got
But
all
I
the
like
7
that
stars
one.
with that?
Yeah. Well, Bastila, I had already gotten almost to 7 stars. So Bastila kind of was screwing me when I'd get her, but the other 3 were really low. So it ended up being a decent value there. And the only reason I did that there is because you got 5 characters for the price of 1, basically. So it worked out.
It was a good pack. I still miss the $10 pack because that was like the sweet spot for me, where it's like,
Oh yeah,
I
for
can
sure.
justify this.
Well,
Have you ever gone back and looked at how much money you spent on the game?
I have not. I don't know where. I'd have to. Be
I just
told where
Googled
to
it.
look at it.
I searched in my email. I just pulled all the receipts, and
Oh yeah.
it wasn't. It was both somehow at the same time more and less than I thought.
You're in between your low and your high that you were thinking.
It was because I've been playing for 3.5 years. It was like $700, which
Yeah, it's not bad for 3.5 years.
that's an MMO subscription on a monthly average.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like,
I felt pretty good about that.
I'd be afraid. I think because I've always
Yeah.
been one of those. Ever since the monthly crystal pack went away, I've been one of those. Spend $20 when I run out of crystals, and spend crystals
Yeah.
like I don't care where they're going type of guys. So
Yeah. I frequently am at 0 or 1 crystals, so I know all too well.
yeah, for sure. Well, as far as me, I've been looking for that gear. I'm looking for that Grievous team. Like, I went in once I found out about GOTBs, I decided that all I was gonna gear, because I didn't have to gear anything for Malik. I got Malik on the first try, or the first go round. So I really
That's
didn't
not
have
an
anything.
atypical answer.
Yeah, I know, right? It was super obnoxious, but it happened. So I didn't have anything to gear, so I'm like, what am I going to gear right now? And I had been working on First Order before we found out about Malik and his requirements. And I was like, I could go back to that, or I could look forward. And so it went straight into the Separatists, and I've been working on Separatists. Gear 12, Grievous. He's Gear 12 plus 5, just needs a med pack. And something that happened, and you might be able to say something to this since you played the team, but someone told me that IG 100 was really important. So I've been gearing him instead of B2. I've almost got IG 100 to gear 11 now, but I'm starting to think I should have done B2 before IG 100.
Well, no.
All right.
I mean, it's a tough call, because Magna Guard is a cool kit, but B2 is very useful. I mean, you do have him there to keep buffs off of everybody. I mean, that's his job. Plus, if you Zeta him, he's feed and turn meter to everybody. Between the two, though, I don't know. Do both. just pick which one you're doing first, I guess.
I'm at the point now with Magna Guard where it's literally all stuff you have to gear, or you have to like wait from raids or weird spots. So I moved on to B2 where I can actually farm the gear for him, and he actually was. I think I got him up to gear 9 without having to farm anything. So he should catch up.
I don't remember
quick.
him being that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that droid team it's weird. That's why I like certain types of teams, because it does not play like any other team. That's why I like the Kira Scoundrels too. It's got like its own little mini game in there. But what's cool about Magna Guard is if he dies, he doesn't actually die. He hangs around and gets a free turn and then dies. But if he has Mark on him, he'll just sit there and eat all the damage because he can't die until he goes. And since Grievous marks his own dudes, or Revan marks everybody, it's fun to sit there and watch them just call him mass assist and just beat on this guy who's at 1 health.
Yeah, for sure. Just not dying. I think that my biggest concern was that after I found that out was that if Wat Tambor pulls this team together, that he's going to be IG 100 is going to be the one that gets replaced.
I wouldn't think so.
So
Who else would you? I mean, who else would you keep in his place? Because you got Grievous, B1, B2, Magna Guard, and then who's your fifth?
Troy Deca.
He's so situational. I love Droidica. I zated him the day he came out because I'm a dummy. But the same problem with every team cleansing all of their own stuff, that damage immunity doesn't last 2 seconds. And without the damage immunity, he's not doing assists from his Zeta. He's not going to survive long enough to build up enough charge.
So the damage immunity can be cleansed or dispelled. Isn't it like a blue? Isn't it like a blue ability?
That's the charge. The charge is the one that he builds up as other people go. That's how he deals all the damage. But he can, when he does his rolly ball thing, he gets damage immunity for 2 turns, I think, when it's maxed out, which is great. Except it's dispelled
until it disappears. Yeah.
Right, immediately. So it's very good, except when it's not. So Droidica is great in certain situations when you're not facing a lot of dispels, but I suspect you're going to want Watt instead of Grievous or instead of Droidica, but that's just a guess.
Gotcha. All right, well, that's good to know because I'm about to get him to gear 11. I've been working on B2. Pretty much that team is all I've been doing. And then farming, as far as farming goes, it's B1 and Droidica and Vandor Chewbacca because gotta have that.
I love me some Vandor Chewbacca is him and L3 and they have such a great interaction between the two of them.
That is exactly why I started farming him, because that scoundrel team and just how good he is on it. And everyone's like, you have him at 3 stars? And I'm like, yeah, I have him at 3 stars, not even unlocked, and, gear 1. So maybe I should start farming this dude. So
yeah, no, they're great. My L3 is, somebody pointed it out to me the other day, my L3 is like the top 15 in the game or something.
Which is bizarre for me. Protection or something?
Let me look, because it was very funny to me.
I think the last thing that I did this week was I got Short Trooper to 7 stars, finally. So
Short Trooper is very good.
Love that dude.
By armor, sorry. Yeah. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the game.
Oh, nice.
Which is, I think, only because most people don't have her that good.
Yeah. This is L3, you said?
Yeah. Yeah. Because her armor's so high base, and it, her defense doubles when she's got her self modification on.
Yeah, I love
L3 is probably my favorite kit in the game.
I love some L3. That character, I have her gear 12 on both my accounts, and she is super fun. Especially, and then on top of it, you have the droid shit, or the Millennium Falcon that she pilots as well. So
yeah, the Lando's one. Yeah. Yeah, I want her to be better with droids, but she's just not. Like I originally, when I started doing Grievous, I put her in that 5 spot, but she's taking double damage from Grievous's lead or unique because she's light side.
Yeah,
and without other prepared characters to feed her prepared, she doesn't heal enough, and it's just, it never ended up working.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. So. All right, once again, for everyone in stream, sorry for the lag. I don't know. I checked my upload speed right before we started, and it was perfect. So either starting the stream tanked it or something, but if you can bear with us, we appreciate it. If not, the sound will always be there for you. So
I was looking. It's not on your YouTube channel. Where are we streaming from? Is it Twitch?
Twitch TV/Shattered Order.
That makes sense.
Because a lot of people were asking, is Mr. H in chat? And I'm like, I don't know if he's in chat.
I can be.
So, let's move on to the podcast poll. Since, we have found a way to ramble for 42 minutes. You fit in perfectly here. It works out really well. The podcast poll... first question. All right. So you filled this out as well. I filled it out
Did.
as well as 149 other people. So we got a good chunk of numbers here for this. First question is, do you think that the messaging around 11 days of double drops as compensation for no Grand Arena was sufficient? Before I read off the answer to this question, I just want to say I know that there wasn't an answer that said, yes, I didn't see an issue with it. That was brought up about halfway through the poll being up, and I didn't want to just add it in there because it wouldn't have got the same chance to be answered that way as the other questions, and it would have just looked funny. So, yeah, I realized that is an answer, and I know a lot of people came to me and said that that's what they have chosen. So I know that that one's in there. But as far as the other answers we did have in the poll, we had the number one answer for most people was 47% was no, if it was given for Grand Arena compensation, don't call it Road to Grand Arena Championships. With the second highest section being 37% saying not really, but it is about what I expect. So, I don't know. A lot of people still unhappy. I've seen a lot, and I think you know what I'm talking about too, of conversation about these double drops. Yeah. Someone brought up a point, it might have been you, it might have been Sean, saying that it's a universal disadvantage as far as most things go. And for the most part, that is a perfect way of saying it. The only part that does get to me is the one point of contention most people have with the Zeta drops. Since they are RNG, like yesterday, and this will piss some people off, I know it will, I got 8 Zeta drops yesterday. 8 of them. I got 2. I've never gotten 2 on the same day twice, ever, but somehow yesterday in double drops I got 8 total Zetas. And then I know that there are other people out there that on double drop day got 0 Zetas. So the disparity between the two, when you were going to get probably 12 Zetas total from Grand Arenas, if you're not getting them, kind of stinks. But as far as I love double drops and everything. So as far as the rest of the double drops go, it helped me finish off Juhani and Karth on my alt, so I got Darth Revan today on my alt, and I didn't have to stress about by the end of the event having enough shards of those 2 characters. So there's a lot of good thing about double drops that I like. It's just there's some parts of this that didn't make sense as far as compensation goes. I don't know what your thoughts were.
I think that it's much ado about nothing, but I think that's true about most things that get to this level of echo chamber anger. Like I said, it is everybody equally had bad. Like nobody's winning out of this except, like you said, the occasional person who gets really good drops on the double drops for the Zetas. And they could have skipped that because they've never done double drops on challenges before. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that's the question. If they hadn't done double drops on challenges, would you have been happier? Or would you rather have the chance? Yeah,
I don't. They would rather have the chance if they got it, and wouldn't rather have the chance when they didn't. That's my guess.
I get it. Again, I come from a kind of a weird place because I'm very bad at the game, so I don't have the need to be the best, I guess. So I don't know. Take the month off, guys. Relax. You already ruined Territory War by making it unfun. It's all vanilla now, so just chill out.
All right. I do agree that there was a lot of anger for this for not too much, but
there's just nothing else to be angry about at the moment, so they had to find something, I think.
The weekly hot topic.
Yeah.
Question 2. Ignoring the possible messaging problem, do you think that 11 days of double drops was good compensation for the missed Grand Arenas? And I think that you and I both are on the side of yes. I think they're super. We're probably both sitting in that blue section. Double drops are super rare, and they spread it across all aspects of the game. About 20% of people chose that. The highest percentage said, no, making me spend my crystal hoard in order to get something that would have been free is not compensation. And the other percentage, 29%, said, no, my payout in Grand Arena is fairly consistent and I did not get anything close to that. I would love to see that quantified, that answer, because I don't know. I mean, I guess like the 6E slicing material that we're not getting, there's some things that could fall under that umbrella, but I think for the most part, the other stuff, if you were focused on that in double drops, then you would probably be getting the same or not.
We're universally not getting them though, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's not like they didn't just announce on May 30th that it wasn't happening. We knew in advance that this wasn't happening. So, I don't know. I think that a lot of this comes from the main messaging problem, such as it was, is that they used the word compensation at some point.
Yeah.
If they had just come on and said, we're not running Grand Arena this month and just finish at the end, I think everything would have been fine.
Yeah, when you think you're promised one thing and you get something else, it's people go nuts. And if they weren't promised anything, then it's hard to be disappointed if you get something. So that's How do you think your guild will run territory battles, knowing that we will have the option of running 2 Darkside TBs a month? The 3 biggest sections here, with a whopping 43%, so almost half the pie, was we have not hit max stars in at least one, and expect to run the Geonosis map for at least one, the one we maxed out. Or sorry, we have hit max stars in at least one territory battle, and expect to run the map for at least the one we maxed out. So for most people, if they have only one maxed out, it's the light side. So a lot of for this, seems like most people are going to run it when the light side is up and might still be trying to max out that Empire one when it's up.
I think you got them mixed up. Oranges, we have not hit max stars in either, but we'll probably try the Geo map, then make a decision.
I did get it mixed up. I must have slid over the exact wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was 19%, which is still a good chunk of them. But it's actually something that's interesting. When we were talking with some of the folks at Capital Games this week about how it's easy to get caught up in everybody being in this end game moment where we're all maxed out, ready to move on to something else, when there are plenty of guilds who haven't maxed out either one of the existing territory battles. So it's easy to get caught up in that.
Well, it's hard to... This is where the hard choice comes in, especially for people that don't have Rolo or IPD maxed, because it's the only way, and this is as far as I have heard, so this might change that, is I think that IPD and Rolo are going to be purchasable in the Mark II store. So if you're doing GOTB, you might be able to still get those two if you're not running the event. But
that's what we were talking about with me in my guild and some of the officers, that like they have to put it somewhere, right?
You would think,
because we have a couple of newer recruits who don't have it, and then we thought about it, and it's like they're both available in bounties.
Are they?
Or at least Probe Droid is, I know.
Well, I think
Probe Droid's one of the bounties.
I think Rolo is too.
So that's what I mean. They're already grindable somewhere else, so I wouldn't necessarily expect them to do that.
Well, that's definitely something that I hadn't thought about. It's always Paplu or Visas Mar for me. So,
right.
That's definitely an interesting take, because I forgot that they were there.
So did we for a long time. We were talking about it because we were thinking, right, either in the regular guild event currency or in the Mark II. But I mean, you can get them. That's still easier to get than some characters.
Yeah, and I think it was I don't remember how many shards bounties are, but you get 2 shots at it. So that's...
I think if you get, I think it's 10 apiece, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. So it would be, depending on how good your guild is at that mission, it's 20 a month could be right where you're at. So that might be
right.
The way
I mean, it's not going to
replace
it, but it's not like you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Also, there aren't a lot of people out there just like, oh man, if only I had Probe Droid or Rolo, things would be so much better.
Yeah. That's a collector thing for sure, because right now I don't use Rolo for anything, like ever. And IPD is so situational, for me at least, that
yeah. I have Prodroid at 12.5 with a Zeta, and it's still just a bomb you send in to take out a Treya who's giving you trouble in like Galactic or Grand Arena. There's not really a team that works with that.
Yeah, and then you gotta hope that they don't have more than 99,999 health.
Yeah.
So you don't bring them down to like red, and then they get healed up instantly, which always.
And that's gonna get worse with Gear 13.
Oh yeah, it's. If they don't bump up his damage, he's just effectively gonna start being a bomb that you need someone else to finish off.
My guess is they might just adjust what massive damage is, right? Because that value is used in other places.
I hope so. It'd be interesting. Next question: do you think that the new Territory War and Grand Arena Territory Battle and Grand Arena will make it less enticing for you to sandbag GP on your account? 65% of people said, "Let me wait and see if the incentive is good enough." The second section said, "Yes, I've used all my available resources to enhance my GP." And the funny thing about this, and this kind of refers to something we'll talk about here in a second, but that is that with Grand Arena Championships, they will be upping the rewards the higher GP bracket you are. So they're finally making a way to hopefully incentivize people to continue to work on their entire roster and not choose whether they're going to be good in territory battles or Grand Arena, to a way that hopefully you can be good in both by still having a high GP and a wide mix of characters that you've geared, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It was something that really frustrated me when Territory War came out, because Territory Battles had been around for a while at that point, and it was all, you got to pump up that GP. You got, then you can clear these nodes quicker. And all of a sudden, like, hey, guess what? Now there's an incentive not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So half of us were like, I just leveled even my garbage characters up to 70 so I could dump some mods on them,
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird. It's did you ever play like WoW? People would twink. They would keep a character artificially at the highest level in a PvP bracket so that they could take everybody else out, right?
I had a 19 rogue. I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. So that's what it just reminds me of.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I never thought about the correlation between those two things, but it definitely was pretty much the same thing. Next question: what leaderboard is the most important for you to be the top of? So this is like a personal question, because they were also announced with Galactic Grand Arena Championships that there will be 4 different leaderboards that are global. There's one that's my ranking, which will show the global, but it'll show your rank and all the people around you at your rank, guild, and ally. So I don't know how my ranking would be in this question, because your rank is always just going to be where you are. So unless your rank is number 1, you'll never be the top of my ranking leaderboard. Just saying.
Well, no, you should always be the top of your own rank. Like, of all the me's, I'm number 1.
Yeah, exactly. I think most people assume my ranking meant the global leaderboard. You want to be the top of that. So
yeah.
If you were to add those two together, that's the majority of the cake. That's what, almost 80% of the pie is wanting to be the top of the global leaderboard. The other ones are guild. Oh no, guild is the 35%. So global mixed with my ranking is about 60%, and then 35% of people went with guild, which to me, I love the camaraderie of my guild. If I'm fighting for the top in my guild, I'll be happy, because I have no aspirations of being the top of the world or anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm very bad at everything. I mean, it's not really a joke. We have a rule when we're recruiting for our guild that you have to be better than me. Like, I'm the bar that you have to clear to get into the game, or to the guild. So I have no expectation of being the top of any of these things. I mean, it'd be fantastic for any of them.
Just clear out your ally list. Offer up your ally code to all the new players that listen to your podcast.
Yeah,
and then instantly top of the ally. See, there's things you can aspire to be the top of.
I'm not sure how many new players we have in our listener base. I think we have all grizzled vets who listen to our show.
Well, one can dream. I mean, there's funny thing. I mentioned that with the ally list, but if I were to go and I don't even know who. I know I have 50 out of 50. I don't even know who's on my ally list. Like, I don't think I ever even look at it.
But
there
what
might
if
be
I clear it
people
out
that
and
have
have
been
one
for
person?
100. Oh, then you'll definitely. Especially if they're inactive. So just clear everyone except the guy that's been gone for 360 days. And then
I'd still end up number 2 somehow. I don't know. I would find a way.
Like, I don't even know how this happened. All right. Next question is, what level of excitement do you have for Grand Arena Championships in general? This follows the usual curve of these types of questions for our polls. Usually things top out around 7, 8, 9, and then 10 has a little bit of a bump, and that is exactly what you're looking at on the live stream. If you're looking at it, 7 and 8, totally even with 35 votes apiece. Second highest being 10 with 24, and then you get into the 5, 6, and 9 being the next area. So seems about right. Most people in these types of things pick a 7 or 8, being cautiously optimistic, and then there are always those people that jump straight into all optimism with the 10. So there it is.
Where are you at on here? What do you think?
I would probably put myself a 7 or 8, only because I'm still confused why feats involve things that are outside of Grand Arena. I don't understand that.
I'd say it will all become clear, but that's unlikely.
Yeah, clear as mud.
Yeah. I mean, I gave it a 5, but it kind of relates to above, where for my galactic power, I mean, and I'm not a world beater. I mean, I guess 3.6 mil might sound like a lot to some people, but it's in the circles I run in, it's pretty mediocre. And my roster is full of bad things. So I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a fun mode, but for somebody like me who's not focused on PvP, it's not gonna go
here's
great.
The real question too, because even with a roster full of unconventional characters, I think the hardest thing to get over in Grand Arena and PvP, even if you have decent characters geared, is your mod situation. Because if you don't have mods, that'll kill you. Like, I have so it's funny, my main account's 4 million and my alt account is 4.2 million.
Yeah.
But the 4.2 million account was my buddy quit playing, converted it to me, and he had absolutely no idea what a mod was. I'm pretty sure that's the way it happened. And so, despite having like an ungodly number of Gear 11s before Gear 12 came out, having this massive GP, he had 1-star mods on characters, accuracy arrows on characters. It was nasty, and I have not won a Grand Arena on that account yet. So, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of different ways to lose in PvP. So, I wouldn't blame it all on who you chose to gear, because that was, mods can be really tricky.
That's one of the reasons I liked it when, like, Territory War, for instance, had more variety in it with the different layouts, because it allowed different teams to shine. It wasn't just, I mean, I called it the Ghosts of Meta Past, because it was just, oh, here's the Trey team. I never had a good answer for that. Well, now I get to relive that, nightmare. And it's just banging your head against the same walls, and you remember when you used to have to bang your head against them. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe we'll see something change eventually again, but I don't know. As far as T-Dub goes, it'll be interesting. And the feel-good moment of the day for me and you. Lastly, which podcast are you most excited for this week? Goodnight Punk and Mr. H with a 66%. Wink and Other Sean, you got your 33%, so don't feel too bad. I won't pretend that this is any way influenced by the fact it's a Shattered Order podcast poll, but I'm just saying. So.
No, I mean, if we hosted a poll, we would probably still lose it on our show. That's how we roll.
I don't know what to say. All right, so next up, we have a couple posts that so this is where Wink would play the what happened this week update whatever sounder, but you don't get that this week, so stop asking. But this is your these are your forum news for this week. There were two posts that we were going to go over last week, but we went long because whenever McMull's here, we ramble forever. So the one post that last week that was big, we didn't talk about, but I want to mention it now. There was a post on Friday about Obi-Wan Kenobi's capital ship, the Negotiator. Now, this ship, we now know for sure, is coming to the game. And then we have some details. So, it has... Obi-Wan Kenobi was called the Negotiator, but also it was the name of his Venator? I don't even know if I spelled that wrong. Venator class Star Destroyer. I think that's it. Whatever the Star Destroyer that Mace has, Obi-Wan is getting one. Mace's endurance was defense style, and what we now know is the Negotiator will have a much more aggressive leader for your fleet for Galactic Republic. Valor will enable Galactic Republic to do more damage, especially if they are also Jedi, instead of giving turn meter and cooldown reduction to the capital ship like the Endurance does with Valor. And this is the one that confused me. So I had to look this up, and it was in the prequels, but I could not remember seeing any of them. But he can call in a formation of Y-Wings to assault the enemy team. And that's the one I had to look up because I didn't remember seeing Y-Wings in the prequels.
I guess I don't remember specifically either. I know that it was a thing only because that's where Chopper from Rebels, he was in the Clone Wars and he was a Y-Wing droid and he got shot down. That's what I remember more about the Y-Wings in the Clone Wars than anything.
It's the first thing when you look up Y-Wing for history is it says used by the Republic Navy in the Battle of the Clone Wars, and that's the only line it says about the Clone Wars. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess they were there, so I won't stick on that point, but I was weird to see Y-Wings with Clone Wars. And the last thing they mentioned was that the ship will synergize with Anakin's starfighter very well. So if you don't have that yet, you might want to get it if you're looking forward to the ship. How's your Anakin starfighter? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's very bad. I haven't grinded this ship in. I'm really trying. I think the last ship I put any work into is the Emperor's shuttle.
It's. I don't usually farm ships specifically because I hate ships specifically. So when I can get Xanadu blood on a droid echo farm, I'm very happy.
Sure, I incidentally farm a lot of ships.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever they throw them on a character shard, I usually have them. But
I have a problem with this game and any game where conformity, it kills the game for me. And when you fight the exact same fleet up and down, even when you're down in the dregs like I am in ships, it's like, what's the point, right? It's just repeating the same battle over and over again. And that's why I get frustrated in the squad arena. The same thing. It's like, I don't mind if there's 3 teams that are the best, right? Or that all kind of rock, paper, scissors each other. But when one team's at 80%,
mirror the match every single match. Yeah.
Except I never have a mirror, so that's my problem. So yeah, but it's exaggerated in ships with the Falcon. So I got pretty discouraged on that pretty quick.
Yeah, it's that was another one that I spent some crystals on just to make sure I got Falcon to 5-star, only because I knew if I didn't have Falcon I would have no chance in Grand Arena, Territory Wars. Not so much worried about Fleet Arena, but like just to stay competitive in PvP. I'm like, this is almost like a make you have this thing. So
yeah,
and I'm one of those guys where it really irks me when I don't have something. For example, you're talking about Padme and pals. I did not get Padme because my separatists were all like gear 7 to 9 range.
Yeah. And
I'm like, there is no way in the world that I'm putting that much money, that much gear into those in the next 3 to 4 days to try to get Padme. So I don't have Padme, and I don't like that I don't have Padme, but I'm learning to deal with it. So I think that Padme might be teaching me some lessons the same way that Malik taught Wink some lessons, because Wink didn't get Malik either. So I was like, hey, you know what? I don't have to farm this dude, and I don't feel bad about it. But I still feel bad about it. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It was interesting to me that they announced this before Malevolence, because I'm still pretty sure that Malevolence is coming.
I mean, it would make sense. There was one point where I was talking with some folks at Capital Games, who I won't name, but I guess part of the problem they have is that I guess in fiction the Malevolence is just massive. Mm-hmm. It's so like the scale, even compared to other capital ships, is so big that it was hard to put in the game. To which I replied, you already have the scale all screwed up anyway, because a fighter is not supposed to be a third the size of a capital ship.
Yeah. Well, and then I was also thinking like Newt Gunray was another ship that capital that I was thinking would be cool. But then you look at the size of his ship and the shape of it, they'd have to be floating above the wings of that little sea that goes around the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's just, yeah. I don't know. I
think
we'll
that
see it, though.
Sean, his big thing is Admiral Trench. If you remember him, the spider guy who's a separatist fleet commander. And that's like all he does. The Invincible, it's called. And that would make sense if they had announced him as a character, but they haven't, so...
Admiral Trench.
I don't know.
Let's see. What's this dude look like? Oh, is that the spider-looking face dude? Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's cool. What's the name of the dude that's... I don't know if he's in charge of the capital ship, but the one that Kenobi, Anakin, Cody, all those guys work with, that's almost always on a capital ship in the Clone Wars. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Not a clue.
I'll have to look him up, because he turns into Empire and becomes an Empire leader of a capital ship later on, but now I can't remember who the dude is. If you're in chat and you know who I'm thinking of, it's the dude with the beard. He's got a beard. Gray beard. Admiral Yularen.
Yularen, I believe.
Yularen, yes. That's one I could have seen being added to the game as a capital ship, because that dude was, same way as Admiral Trench, like you said, completely always on the bridge of a capital ship.
Yeah.
He might have even been the guy on the Negotiator. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, moral of the story is we are definitely getting the Negotiator. We are still yet to hear anything about Malevolence, but that benevolence comment on the forums that also included negotiate still makes me think that we're getting the Malevolence.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody listened to that interview that Carrie did on one of those other podcasts that she basically confirmed it without confirming that the Malevolence was coming. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, I was surprised when I first heard the argument against it, but that was some time ago. So
I actually heard her exact words, and they were, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's probably
a chicken.
Yeah. Exactly. So
I mean, it makes sense. They didn't release any new capital ship commanders in fiction, right? So it has to be somebody who already exists. It's a separatist battle. It just makes too much sense for it to be the Malevolence.
Very true, very true. We shall see. Next up is something that I'm kind of excited for, and the title of the post was I have a bad feeling about this, but the Ackley from the Battle of Geonosis is coming with the Geonosis Darkside Territory battle. That thing that's like a combination of praying mantis, velociraptor, and giant crab, as they described him. I remember the dude, giant legs like a spider, always swinging those legs, slamming them into the ground, trying to stab people. That you remember that dude? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a battle for that, and it's kind of interesting the way to describe it, because they say it's a 3-way battle between your squad, Jedi, and the Ackley. So I'm kind of curious how they set up the look of this with 3 different sides. Or is the Ackley going to be standing side by side with the Jedi, even though he's going to be able to attack them? Like, the visual of this battle intrigues me, because
I think it's going to end up being like the AT-ST Ewok event, where it's going to have multiple phases to it, where like the Jedi might be doing something and it can be affected by what's going on with the Ackley in the background part of the time, and then as the phases change, it's going to come through. That's my guess, but
that would make a lot of sense, because standing in the back like that, he can swipe at your team or depending on. He probably, if he's in the back, he'd probably swipe at the other team. When he comes to the forward, he's swiping your team. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, if you did like visually, you have it where there's just another group of people comes up and he's fighting them in the background, and he swings around and does stuff that affects your half the battle. But and then the next phase comes and he turns to you and faces you, and then a Jedi team intervenes in between the two of you, and I don't know. I could see it working. I don't know technologically how it would work functionally on the screen, but
well, I'm looking forward to it, because that'll be very interesting. Can single attack or swipe for team damage? Sounds similar to most every character out there that has an AoE.
Yeah.
Roars to weaken the enemy team, Jedi, but may call more into the battle. So maybe between phases.
Is that verbatim what they said?
That is exactly what it says in the post. So
that's a badly worded sentence.
Well, I quoted the Jedi part. I think that was added into the sentence somewhere. I just tried to shorten it. But for the most part, it does say roars to weaken the enemy team. Yeah, maybe it's not a verbatim. Maybe it's not. I can't remember. But that's the gist of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my guess, is that the Jedi are going to be another phase of the battle where they roll in and they kind of get in between you and the Ackley.
That would make the most sense. And maybe the roars are from in the back, kind of like the swipe might be.
Yeah, or, it'll roar, debuff you, the Jedi show up, and it sticks through the phase.
Yeah. The last thing, Geonosian Brood Alpha will get special bonuses because he's trained for this battle and to soothe the savage beast. So I'm pretty sure this is the mission that you're going to need to farm the Brood Alpha for. At least as far as it sounds from there.
My assumption is that the Brood Alpha is going to have an ability for jizz wailing, where he can come in and just play a sweet like soprano sax and calm that Ackley right down.
Put it to sleep. You play never mind. I can't even remember the name of it. That's goldfish memory. Everything just disappears.
Yeah.
The good news is, though, as far as the next thing we have, we will know how soon. We already know. It has been announced how soon we will get to find out how that battle works, because they also released a territory battle Grand Arena schedule post, basically telling us when we can expect to do each of these things for the first and second time. So there was another post I kind of chopped it up real quick at the beginning of this, but it was basically said that typically they run 2 territory battles a month right now. You know that. Everyone plays light side and then dark side once a month. And then what they said to that was GOTB will be available with each instance of a territory battle. So you're going to be able to pick whether to do light side or Geo. And then when dark side's up, you can pick the dark side Hoth or dark side Geo. So for everyone that thought it might have just only been during one of those, you actually can get 2 a month now, which is pretty cool, I think, because as far as Gear 12 plus finishers go and trying to get those, the more often we can get that currency, the better off the chances of us getting those Gear 12 characters are, or Gear 13 characters. So I'm totally fine with that. Calendar-wise, TU16 scheduled for release on... They said the client rollout begins on the 17th. They said either on the 17th or the 18th you will be able to download the new client onto your phone. and usually a couple days after it's put in the store is when they force you to download it. You can always download it before then. Sometimes you get some of the quality of life stuff early that way, but you will not get, obviously, territory battles or Grand Arena Championships early. Just any quality of life stuff they add. So that they usually add some stuff like that that's unexpected with these TU updates. Some of the stuff they've promised in the past but had to wait for a client update. So I'd expect Monday or Tuesday to see some random things that we had already forgotten about go into the game. But I love those client updates because they always seem to surprise you. 620 is the first Grand Arena Championship. It's 1 week long. It's an intro to the league progression and feats. Basically, they're spending what a normal Grand Arena is to explain to everyone how this is going to work. They're using it also to give feedback on rewards and progression speed for the different Kyber leagues, Crystal leagues. Is that what they're calling them? I don't know.
I think Kyber's, I don't remember.
I think Kyber's the top one. They're all Crystal names, but maybe they just call them leagues. So after that ends, so that starts 620. Here's where we find out where the TB is. The Geonosia's TB starts on 6/26. So 1 week downtime from Grand Arena Championships, where players can't focus on the new Geonosia's territory battle or Darkside Hoth, depending on if you meet the requirements or your guild leader wants to jump in there right away. I am our guild leader, so I've already made the decision, and no one's going to convince me not to do it.
The decision has been made.
I'm like, new content, I'm not waiting on that for anything. So,
Yep.
on the 2nd of July, and I just want to throw this out there. This actually almost fits with the timeline of these releases that I said at the beginning of the month. I think at the beginning of the month I said I think that they'll probably, because we were talking on this show about how this was all put in the TWAB. Is it the TWAB? The TWAB is Destiny this week at Bungie. Not the TWAB, the Road Ahead post. So in the Road Ahead post, they were talking about these two things, and most of the time the Road Ahead refers to this quarter. So in my head, I was thinking they only had this month to get this stuff pushed out, to get it into the quarter. And I'd said I thought the second week of June would be Grand Arena Championships, and then TB would be like in the last few days before the month ended. And it actually ended up being really close to that. And I'm not surprised to see both of these drop in this month. I am actually interested if you can remember, because you've been playing a long time. Have they ever dropped two big things like this in the same update?
In the same update? No, I don't think so. I know, mods and Thrawn were pretty close together, if I remember, but they weren't that close together.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that these two very large pieces of content are in the same update to start within a week of each other. So, pretty excited for that.
It's going to be, as it tends to be in this game, though. It goes from 0 to 60. There's nothing going on for a month and a half, and then all of a sudden, balls to the wall.
Yeah, it's it'll be crazy. It's going to be busy, and I'm going to have to readjust my playtime, because right now it's kind of like, all right, I'll get to it when I get to it. At that point, it's going to be like, if I don't keep on top of this, I'm not going to know what's going on. So,
yeah.
7-2, I said there was the full exhibition Grand Arena Championship, 5-week exhibition championship, rewards and progression not final here as well. So they're still tweaking things through this exhibition. They called it a dress rehearsal. They're monitoring for cheating and technical stability. So basically what they're doing is, hopefully in this exhibition version, working out all the kinks so that when Grand Arena Championship 1 comes out, everything is working as it's supposed to.
So if you're going to cheat, wait this one out. Cheat the next time. Don't show your cards the first time through.
I know there's going to be things that end up popping up in that first one, but it's going to be... I'm at least hoping that a couple things happen, and that is A, the mods things resolved. B, auto deploy is actually working as intended. And yeah, because if you set one team on defense, it doesn't auto deploy the rest of them. Or if you just different things like this. Or if you don't even set characters, but you set a ship, that used to auto deploy. Now the good news is we'll get to this 2 seconds from now. I'll just say it now. But Grand Arena Championship is exclusively running 5v5 only. And they're sticking with this format now, but 3v3 and ships may be added later possibly, which I'm not surprised, but 3v3 Grand Arena is my favorite of all the Grand Arenas, so not having it kind of bums me out.
I love it because it's an easy way to put a unique twist on the game at this point. Like, because it changes how so many things interact by comparison, and combos that may not have been good are good again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it should be a permanent game mode somewhere.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Other than Omega battles, which I think is 3v3, if I remember.
That is true. Quick story, because I like to go off the rails. Omega battles, one of my favorite things of it was back in the day when you used to have to fight Phasma with Jawas. And my Jawas were garbage, but for some reason my engineer for the droid team was really good. And I used to put that on auto, and Jawa engineer would win the whole thing just by healing himself and throwing out thermals. And the Omega battle would take about 15 minutes on auto, but Jawa engineer with his thermals and his heals would knock out the whole thing. I think I have it. It used to be on our YouTube in a 15-minute battle of just Jawa versus every first order that came in his way. Every time someone mentions Omega battles, I think of that. I don't know why, but yeah, they definitely 3v3. The random story, I know. August 1st through August 1st, there's 2 weeks of cooldown, so that's the time they're going to take to make any significant changes. Championship 1 will follow this cooldown period, and they haven't decided they're going to wipe stats for Grand Arena Championships before Championship 1. They're just going to see if that'll depend on what happens in the exhibition, if they see a lot of cheating or stability issues, that kind of stuff. So we'll see if the exhibition really works into our stats and everything, but the first one should start the second week of August for the actual 5-week championship.
Weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Just think
That's
about
gonna
that.
be so long.
You can't even get 12 in a month. That'll be more like, what, 10? 9? So that's
bananas.
Thinking time-wise, these things are long.
Yeah.
And one a week, that's crazy. So I think that's it for the timing. So just look out for that TU16 next week. I love updates. They always bring something surprising. Like I think the most recent surprise that I enjoyed from these little updates was challenges moving to 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, they had mentioned that, and I can't remember where it was. Somebody mentioned it to Carrie, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that should be super easy."
And
then they just
there it is.
They just did it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, if I could send
Sundays,
2 minutes or 30 seconds to a minute doing it, as opposed to waiting 2 minutes a piece, man, so much better. One post that came out today, changes to Gear 12 inflow. They are putting out better ways to acquire Gear 12 plus pieces, and I don't know where you're at in the Heroic Sith raid, but I'd venture a guess to say you're probably not getting top 10 like I'm not getting top 10, so Gear 12 plus is a nightmare of annoyance.
Yeah. I don't bother raiding, frankly. I don't have the time, or I should say I don't want to put the time in for it. You know, it's like,
yeah.
There's not that many people who really do it anymore. It's like the same 6-7 people who go in there and just clear them and they get the top spots. It's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then I check my inbox later and everything's good.
Yeah, hey, look.
So
I got something for nothing.
Yeah. Well, for those of us out there not worried about rating, they're finding better ways to get Gear 12 Plus to players with Gear 12 finishers coming out. So they're adding Gear 12 Plus pieces to the Grand Arena store. They're adding Gear 12 Plus pieces to the Geo Territory Battle prize box that you get at the end. Unclear from their post was whether a full piece is possible out of that prize box. I would hope so, but who knows? So at least you're getting pieces out of there. And then also available from Geo Territory Battle Mark II Guild Event Token Store. They'll be available there, as well as Gear 12 Finisher prototypes will be farmable. This one we talked about last week when they had announced the Injector series of things. I think there was an Injector Head. Injector Head's the only one I can remember. Don't ask me why. But the Injector Head, there were 3 of them. I assumed Injectors are the piece that you can't farm from PvE nodes, and that all the rest of the salvage that you need to finish with those Injectors is what's going to be farmable in the PvE spots.
I'll take that.
But I guess we'll see. So, they're also adding harder to get gear pieces that we're always stuck on to the Grand Arena store. If you add more places for me to get stun gun salvage, Mark IV stun gun salvage, I'm all for it, because if I need stun cuffs, I wait every refresh and I can probably get 10 to 15 of them. Or same with Carbantes, but stun guns never seem to show up in stores for me.
Really? I don't have too much trouble with it, but I burn shard shopping, guild event currency on that all the time. That's where most of my currency goes.
For sure. Add another place for it. I'm all for it. The last thing, kind of exciting, something that a lot of people have asked for in the past. I'm curious what your thoughts on it were. Zeta Challenge also changing the 0 to 2 chances going away to always getting 1 guaranteed. So guaranteed 6 a week, no chance at 2. Which do you prefer?
So it's just 2 stock, no chance for more?
Yes.
I could tell you that if I could pull the data, that would result in me probably having an extra 2 to 3 Zetas a week.
Yeah.
I mean, and would have this whole time if we did it that way. Although it's suspicious they're doing this after double drops is over. Like, what are they trying to hide?
You're like, come on, gotta drop this out right before. If this comes in the update next week, we might still be eligible for some of the later ones, but we'll see.
It's fine. I don't know. I guess Zetas they're hard to come by, but it's not the hardest thing in the game anymore.
No. I'm almost always sitting on at least 60 of them. I just don't spend them. Only because there's always something coming out that's going to need some of them. So
once I get above 40, I'm usually like, I'm going to find something stupid to spend this on real quick. So
I need to spend one of these.
Got to keep one in the bank though.
Yeah, always have a backup. So that makes sense. Yeah. So that's pretty much all the news from this week. As far as things left, I really wanted to go over this Geonosian Brood Alpha kit. What do you think? You want to talk about this, dude?
Yeah. Hang on a second. Let me check something real quick. A lot of times, they have the preview characters up on .gg.
Yeah, I love using that one when I do this. I think I checked earlier tonight; it wasn't there, so we have to go off.
It's not there.
Have to go off the forum post, but I love the GG one because you get the stats and you get the.
I mean, even the basics. Like, I don't usually go too deep into them when I look at it, but like speed, how much damage on base these things are doing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't take too long to burn through this thing. There's not a ton of info on it.
No, we got it. Let me bring this up on the stream. I got the little. I did have them. All right, hold on. I'm gonna add them so you guys have something to look at while we do this. I got the little gifs, so you guys can see what we're talking about here. I thought I added these before we started, but take me 2 seconds. How are your geos?
Not great. If I remember. I mean, my Sunfac's okay. Let me see here.
I think I have what's his face? What is his face? Not Poggle, Geo Soldier from back in the day. He was an easy gear back in the day.
He was a good meta character for a while.
Gear. Yeah, I have him at gear 11. I don't remember really putting anything into him to get him there. So
yeah, he called an assist. He did a lot of damage for the time.
Oh man,
I remember
he was a staple on my Phasma-led arena team back in the day.
Oh, don't think I didn't run a full first order team with Phasma Lee. It was bad, but fun.
I had Phasma in the arena for probably the first 8 months of this game.
Yeah, it was funny because as far as leaders go, she was such a Swiss Army leader. There was no reason not to use her if you didn't have a better option.
Yeah.
And it's funny, again, newer players don't realize this, but for a long time, faction tags were functionally useless. Nothing, there was no reason to put characters from the same group together.
Yeah, because most leaders were all allies gain this, this, and this. And
or if it was a faction specific, it was super minor.
Yeah, you get defensive up if you apply a debuff. Right. All right. So, Geonosian Brood Alpha. Unit name. I just said it. Alignment, dark. Categories, dark side. Support. Geonosian. Separatist. And he's also a leader. He's a Geonosian support that swarms enemies. Man, getting stuck in my mouth there. Geonosian support that swarms enemies with summoned allies and Hive Mind. Hive Mind is actually the buff that we heard about when he was announced, that everyone was excited for, but he has even more than that going for him. So, you want to cover the abilities? I'm just kind of...
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, that's fine. His basic is called Shield Bash, which, as you might have mentioned, he bashes with a shield, does physical damage, and dispels all buffs on them if it's a crit. The animation I love. He flies up in the air and just crashes down into him with his shield. I'm a sucker for sword and board in any game, so I dig that.
He might be the only one, right? Anyone else have a sword and a shield?
Nobody has a shield at all.
Yeah, so this is the first dude.
It's not a very Star Warsy thing.
Yeah,
we don't have our Riot Trooper, unfortunately, yet, because I think he has a shield.
That's very true.
Special one is Glaive Sweep. He does a big old fly up and sweep motion with his sword polearm looking thing. Dispel all buffs on all enemies, deal physical damage to all enemies, and expose them for 2 turns. Ooh. But then he removes 50% turn meter from any enemies that are debuffed. That seems fine. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. We don't see a damage number in the GIF, so I don't really know how much it's going to do. But dispel all buffs on all enemies is pretty good on a 3-turn cooldown.
Well, it's funny because you have an individual debuff on his basic, and then you also have this dispel all buffs for all enemies on his special. So this dude's going to be debuffing a lot of the time, even outside of his turn.
With Sunfac on the team who dispels on basic and calling all these assists, there's just nothing's going to stay buffed.
For sure. There goes your crit damage immunity again, or damage.
Exactly. you understand why on paper it looks so good.
Yeah.
Special number 2, Conscription. It's a 3-turn cooldown. Dispel all debuffs on Geonosian allies. Summon a Geonosian Brute to battle if the ally slot is available, or if there's one already present. He gets critical damage up and offense up for 2 turns. Then all Geo allies gain 50% turn meter and recover 35% health and protection. So this is the summon ability, which is they had when we had him on our show at Celebration, they talked about the summoning abilities that was going to happen in the battle, and they didn't tell us we were going to get access to them so quickly as a player character. But I love this idea.
Yeah, it's pretty inventive too, the actual way they implemented it, because they've always had that ally slot, and now they've found a way to use it to create this summon. So I think this is awesome, especially with the way we'll get into the way the actual guy, his abilities are too. It's just really crazy.
Well, and I like it too because it's not like if he's there, the ability is useless. You can still use it. because it heals people.
And gives
he gets crit damage up.
Yeah, and gives those buffs.
The brute. So yeah, it's a great ability. 3-turn cooldown, again, super reasonable. I'm guessing this guy's gonna be slow, like fairly slow. But the shot
with those big cooldown or low cooldowns, it'd be interesting to see for sure. Because I don't think the Geos themselves have a lot of turn meter manipulation. I mean, his abilities do. So he might, even if he's slow, it seems like at least those 2 specials have turn meter on him. Yeah, his basic doesn't, but
that's true.
He does have ways to speed himself up even if he has a slow base stat. And then another thing to note, we didn't even mention, another reason you might use this even if you have him, but he dispels all debuffs on all Geo allies. So if you're running a full Geo team, you have a way to cleanse, and you have a way to dispel the other team. I mean, a lot of ways. And heal. So this dude, full on support, no doubt.
Yeah. His leader ability is the Geonosian Swarm, which this is a bonkers leader ability. Geonosian allies have plus 15,000 health and protection, which is just, that's like basically that first part of that sentence reads, we have a bunch of launch characters we want to make relevant again.
Yeah, pretty much. Straight up stats.
He also gives, right, just have a pile of health. Gives them 50% health steal. They recover 3% protection when they use their basic, and their basic abilities deal 10% more damage for each debuffed enemy. So if you're sitting on 5 debuffed enemies, you're doing 50% more damage with your basic. That's pretty spicy.
On a basic when you get to your unique, you're going to see how often they're going to be using those basics and healing themselves. So, along with all the extra heal and protection.
Speaking of which, we're here at Queen's Will, which is the first unique. This is another Zeta. We don't know what parts of the Zetas on these necessarily, but the Geonosian Brood Alpha has plus 60% tenacity. All Geo allies have the Hive Mind buff while Geonosian Brood Alpha is active, which can't be dispelled or prevented. When another Geonosian ally is defeated, reduce the cooldown of conscription by 1. That is the cleanse / summon / heal.
/ many things.
Yeah. At the start of the encounter, summon a Geonosian Brute who taunts for 1 turn. I bet that part right there is the Zeta.
That would make the most sense. Because leading this ability, it had a lot of really good stuff in it. But when I saw that part, I'm like, that'll be huge if you're running a full Geonosian team. Because
to start with 6
characters.
Got a
pre-taunt. Well, you start with 6 and you pre-taunt. So, and then that pre-taunt guy has 15,000 health and protection and all his stats. Yeah. It's crazy.
So, and then the Hive Mind buff, which is also bonkers. The assist whenever another Geonosian ally uses an ability during his turn, dealing 50% less damage, and equalize health and protection with Hive Mind allies whenever an enemy uses an ability. So that's great. They are literally going to be constantly assisting.
Yeah. If you watch the GIFs, I always say it wrong. If you watch the animated pictures on the forum post, they always, every one of his abilities he uses, the special and the, pretty much everything, everyone next to him starts going in. So the amount of basics being thrown out to heal yourself for 3% protection is massive, especially when this goes for every Geo ally using an ability. If they're doing decent damage, they're going to be wrecking balls. If they're doing Ewok damage, which is what I am willing to bet that these guys are going to be looking like more so than wrecking balls, then it still will be good, but it'll be crazy. It's just going to be interesting to see which side they fall on a short trooper, Imperial trooper type level, or on a Ewok level.
It's hard to say, because this guy might do decent damage. Plus, I mean, Poggle does give offense up.
Yeah, that's true.
Are they all gonna have? He has a separatist tag, right?
He does.
I mean, I could see you running 4 Geos, Brood, Soldier, Sunfec, and Spy, and sticking a 5th who can affect separatists in that slot. I mean, for all we know, Walk might fit there, right? He might
That's very true.
trigger off the separatist tag. So there's a lot of
moving
options
parts
there still. Yeah.
But I like moving part teams. Synergy is
Yeah,
fun.
for sure. What I'm curious about a lot too is it's not as bad right now, but there was a long time where Daze was just everywhere, which would just shut all this down. But he'll be cleansing often enough. I don't think it'll be a problem. But we'll have to see.
For Forsuero? I always say your name wrong in chat, but I get what you're asking. If they assist based off the ability saying to assist, and then the fact that he used an ability calling in the assist, if they will double tap for that reason.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sure.
I don't know if that will be the case.
We have a GIF, and it's only once.
So if we go by the animated picture, then it looks like only once, but we shall see. So
wait a minute, am I thinking of the right one? Which one am I looking at?
See, I don't think he has an ability to call everyone in.
He doesn't have a mass assist.
No. Does someone else on the team?
No,
none of the other Geos do.
Geo Spy has a random assist, but it's only a single, so you'll get an extra tap out of somebody.
Yeah. Because
their assist won't trigger one because it's not their turn.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I don't know. Yeah, there's no mass assist ability on Brood. It just looks like it from the gifs because of.
Now that being said, no, because then it's not a Geo one, because that makes sense. I was thinking if there's any other separatists that do, but
no, I don't think there are.
Well, he does have one more unique. The Geonosian Brute. Basically, it's just this second character, who does have their own tags too: Dark Side, Geonosian, Separatist, and Tank. Basic is their Goading Strike, deals physical damage and taunts for 1 turn. So, with him constantly assisting, he's just always going to be taunting. Oh, here we go. Swarm Tactics. Deal physical damage to target enemy and call all other Geo allies to assist.
Apparently we weren't there yet for Sero, so now we know what you're talking about. There is no GIF for this ability, so we'll definitely see.
Calling him each twice is going to be brutal. It is a 4-turn cooldown. But the question is, if he dies and gets resummoned, does that reset the cooldown?
Probably. New character.
Right?
If you think of what a summon is, it's not calling the same guy back, it's calling a new one.
Now, if I were them, for balance reasons, I would share cooldowns, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And it has a unique Reckless Retaliation. Geonosian Brute has 25% offense for each active Geonosian ally and 100% counter chance. That Brute's going to be brutal. There's some in the unique 2 summoned, basically just some rules, provisos, and quid pro quos. This unit's stats scale with the summoner stats. This unit can only be summoned to the ally slot if it's available. It can't be summoned in raids, which is...
I guess because there's no ally slot.
I'm thinking that was just technical. Like, well, we'd have to rework all this to make it available. And they're like, nope, forget it. Just not going to do it.
He's not going.
It cannot be revived. When they're defeated, it is not considered a defeated unit, so it's not going to trigger on-death things. When there are no other allied combatants, this unit escapes, so basically it can't be the last one standing. A unit can't be revived if this summoned unit exists in their slot. So, if the summoned unit...
So if you summon someone after someone died, he's going to take the spot of the died person and not the ally slot.
No, see, I think what it means is if you had an ally in a PvE environment and that ally dies, you could summon him there. But if you have
okay. Yeah, that would
that's
make
my
sense.
Guess. But
because it makes you pick an ally too. So
right.
The defeat one is interesting to me. When a unit is defeated, is not considered a defeated unit because Brood Alpha has a when another Geonosian ally is defeated, reduce the cooldown of conscription by 1. That one surprised. See, I was thinking every time he died, it would make it easier for you to bring him back, but that does not trigger the cooldown for conscription. So the brute dying is not going to help you bring him back quicker. That's so. We shall see.
Where's that? That's in Queen's Will, right? Where the hell is
in
that?
the unique. It's halfway through that bigger paragraph.
Oh yeah, when another Geonosian ally is defeated. Yeah. So my guess is this block of text is the rules for their summoned abilities, right? Like everything that's summoned is going to have this specific set of rules.
Yeah.
I mean,
set the groundwork from the start if they start introducing these types of characters. Now you know what to expect.
Which is what the Y-Wings are going to be in with the Negotiator, I suspect. They're going to be calling it. When we see a full kit reveal, we'll know, obviously, but...
Right.
So, yeah, so that's the Geo Brood Alpha. Or the GBA. GBA, I think is good. Or Geo Bro. I like that.
Geo Bro. G-Bro.
G-Bro.
There's only one last thing that I wanted to talk about before we find out how bad we are at trivia. But the Geospy changes. They changed Geospy when they're introducing Brood Alpha because there is a way for him. They were worried about an infinite loop, and they're cutting that out before it happens. So they're changing his old unique, which was Geospy gains stealth for 3 turns at the start of each encounter, and whenever he scores a crit hit, whenever a Geonosian ally inflicts a negative status effect, Geospy gains 70% turn meter. That could get crazy quick, apparently, with something going on with Brood Alpha, or maybe something coming after him, who knows? But Geospy gains stealth for 3 turns. This is the new one. Geospy gains stealth for 3 turns at the start of each encounter, and whenever he scores a crit hit. Whenever a Geo ally inflicts a negative status effect during their turn, Geospy gains 20% turn meter. So they dropped it from 70 to 20, assuming that they're testing. Yeah, I said testing. 20% was the number where it's not going to cause an infinite loop. So,
right.
We'll see why they do that as we start playing with this character, or if something else comes. But obviously, felt the need to change him now.
Yeah, I'm trying to see why. Just off top, like just looking at these other kits of the Geonosians, but I've thus far not figured it out.
Well, someone must. How many of them apply debuffs? Because if they're constantly being, if it's on their basic, because it would have to be the basic, I think, because since they're called to assist so often, if they're calling to them to assist and 5 of them or 3 of the 5 are putting a debuff every time, then I don't know. I mean,
Poggle does ability block on basic, but it's not very good. It's like 60% chance, and his potency's not like amazing, if I recall.
Yeah. I don't know.
What about Sunfac? Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best theory crafter out there, so I'm missing something, I'm sure.
I am sure that we will get some clarity on this eventually. So, but that is changed. It was announced today. So, yeah. All right. Well, this is where I would play the trivia sounder. So, if you want to sing some jazz music for everyone, go ahead.
No.
All right. I wouldn't have either, so I don't blame you. Shattered Order Trivia. If you've never done it, you've never seen this before, basically we have about 5 to 9 to 10 questions about the game. This week we have general questions, so pretty much if you have general knowledge of the game, which I'm sure you do, we talk about it every week. Hopefully we don't end up feeling terrible about this. But last week, so let me preface this. Last week was math, and for everyone out there, Tesh, our trivia guru, wanted me to let everyone know that he wanted me to let everyone know that 30% was the average of what people got right. So if you did bad last week on the math portion of the trivia, where I got 1 out of 9, a lot of people did, so don't feel bad. So we'll see what happens this week.
Okay. I'm ready here. Do I just hit the start button?
You can hit it. It won't ask you the question yet. I'm going to give the code to everyone else. So if you're playing trivia, no, I don't think this refers to General Kenobi and General Grievous. I think that's generality. So
General Veers also, thank you very much.
Oh, see? Forgot one. Your quiz's code is 340558. 340558. If you're playing along at home, put that into your quiz's app or your quiz's website, and then you'll be good to go with us. So I'm going to hit join here, enter my name, and now we are on the start. All right. Are you ready, Mr. H?
I'm ready.
Ready as I'll ever be. All right. First question is... Still loading. All right, there it is. Time for a random Swugga trivia. Who can apply the most thermals to a single enemy? Jawa Scavenger, Mob Enforcer, Dengar, or Greedo?
Well, we're just going to answer, and we'll give the answers at the end?
Yes. Go ahead and answer, okay. And then I'll ask you if you answered after I answer, and then we'll go from there.
Sure.
All right, I've answered. Have you answered?
I have.
I picked Dengar, because I think he can apply 5 to 6.
He applies a number of thermal debts that is split up by how many characters are left. So there's only one left. You could dump the most on him.
Yeah, that's why I love using him under a Zam lead, just because if you have a hard time with like the boss at the end of an encounter, you can just throw all of them on him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, question 2. Which of these characters stacking damage is completely out of your control? Young Han, Infus Nest, Finn, or Wampa? That's Young Han, Infus Nest, Finn, or Wampa. I've pulled 2 out, I think, but I don't know which I don't know which of the other 2 it is. Actually, I think I know.
I already answered it.
All right, I clicked Infus Nest because I think it's based on people attacking her.
Yes, although I think it's a little misleading to say completely out of your control, because you can do stupid things like leave her in there solo and just let her just get smacked around. But
or stealth everyone else but her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Third question. In the Anakin plus Night Sisters Phase 3 solo, Initiate is ideally modded for crit chance, health, potency, no increases at all. All right, so I think we're both on equal ground here.
I'm taking a shot in the dark just because I know Night Sisters pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking a shot.
All right, let's see here. I'm just going to guess as well. I'd guess crit chance. What did you guess?
Crit chance.
Yeah, I think there's something in her kit. I don't use her. I think there's something in a kit that she needs to crit to do something else, but I can't remember. Yeah. All right. Well, both of us 3 for 3. Doing good. 4 out of 9. This is question 4 of 9. Okay, new game. Which of these 3 is not like the other in faction tags? Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Director Krennic, Range Trooper. Again, that's which of these 3 is not like the other in faction tags? Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Director Krennic, and Range Trooper. I feel like
it's trying to trick me, though.
I think it is, too. Or maybe it's not, because I try to read Tesh's mind all the time and fail. So, is anyone else in there a scoundrel? Oh, I guess I shouldn't talk out loud.
I've already made my choice.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go. All right. Didn't trick me. I still went Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And got it right. So I really didn't want to click it, but I didn't have any other choice. So 5 out of 9. Which of these 3 is not like the other in leadership abilities? Asajj, Shark Tits. That's Shakti, if you didn't know.
I picked that up, yeah.
Lobot and Jyn Erso.
No problem. I got that one down pat.
All right. I picked Jin only because I don't think she does speed. Is that what you were going with? All right. Good to
Joke's
go.
on you. I know Lobot's kit very well, so it was easy for me.
Someone was telling me earlier today that you had a Gear 12 Lobot, and I'm like, man.
I think he's 11 and change. I don't think I've gotten around to actually putting that last bit of gear on him. It's my personal shame.
What's holding you back? Just what it is?
Nope. No, he is Gear 12. Strike that.
There you go. Gear 12 Lobot. Maybe he'll get a rework someday to make those droids meta again. That would be nice.
Give him a droid tag. That's all it takes. Give him a droid tag.
That would be quite interesting as well. Question 6. They all granted speed except Jin. Oh, I guess that was telling us the answer for the last one. How about these? Which of these three is not like the other, or which one of these is not like the other three in healing techniques?
Got it. No! What? No, that's not true. Got it wrong, apparently.
Let's see. All right. I got it. I'm going to guess you said Jedi Consular.
Because the other guys still give heal up. They still give hots.
I think that the main thing was that Chirrut's heal is an equalizer, and the other three just do a heal.
Chirrut isn't an equalizer.
Yeah, he equalizes
He only get... Tash, are we going to talk about this?
I can wait if you want to look it up. I know
I'm going to look it up.
The other three don't equalize. They actually provide a heal number, and Chirrut equalizes.
But Conso's the only one who doesn't give any heal over times.
Buff. That's an interesting argument to make. I always go for those things. So
yeah, but it's definitely Conso's the only one who doesn't give any heal over times. So
he says Tesh is in chat. He's the trivia guy who made the trivia. He said Jawa Engineer doesn't do HOTS.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I'll admit I don't know much about Jawa Engineer. So that's entirely possible. Now I gotta look at this stupid kit. When's the last time I looked at this kit? No, yeah, it doesn't have any of that. Okay, fine, Tesh. You win this round.
Question 7 out of 9. What about these think leaderships? There's only 3 instead of 4, so I guess it's which one is not like the other 2.
I don't know these very well.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm gonna guess. Okay.
Well, I guess Greedo because his name wasn't Fett, but that is incorrect.
No, I think it's because the other ones give bonus to crit damage and or chance, and I didn't think Django did. Oh, yeah, all crit damage except Django.
Yep. So the answer was plus 50% CD except for Django. Question 8. What about these in their assist calling? Hermit Yoda, Bastila Shan, General Kenobi, and C-3PO. I have chosen.
This is a tough one. I'm just gonna guess because I don't know.
Think.
Hey,
long.
I did guess.
Yeah, it's a mass assist. Bastila is the only one that does a mass assist.
Oh, does it? See, I don't.
Because Hermit Yoda will. Hermit Yoda does it with everyone that has the buffs, and then the other two just do it in general. Well, no, Kenobi does it if. I don't remember why Kenobi does it. Anyways, it was the mass assist. Last question, 9 out of 9. How about these dispellers? You got Paplu, Ahsoka Tano, Shark Tits, and First Order Stormtrooper. These dispellers.
I think I got it. Nope.
Oh, I know which one it is.
That was where I wanted to go to.
It was Dispel in Basic, I think. And we won't be able to be given the answer because there's no more questions. But I'm pretty sure Ahsoka Tano with a rework dispels on Basic.
Yep. But so is First Order Stormtrooper.
On his Basic? I don't know that kid very well.
If he has advantage, he dispels on basic. That's why I picked Paplu. I thought it was his special that dispelled, not his basic.
Let's see. Deal physical. This is Stormtrooper. If deal physical damage to target enemy with a 50% chance to inflict speed down, this chance is increased to 100 on crit hit. If First Order Stormtrooper has advantage, dispel all buffs from the target. That's... we'll have to ask Tush what the difference between him and the other two were. Tesh, if you're in chat, let us know what the answer... Why...
Yeah, I think they're right. They're saying it because that in order to do it, Stormtrooper needs advantage instead of just being able to do it on basic. It's Paplu's basic. That's why I wasn't sure on that.
Yeah, Paplu's basic I knew because
special.
it's like almost vital in the C-3PO event. But
yeah,
if it's because it's dependent on a buff, Ahsoka's is based on crits, I think. And
no, hers just does it on basic now. It's just always.
It's just on the... Okay. Who was the third one? I don't even remember.
Shakti. She does it on basic now.
Oh, yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, how'd you do?
I got 7.
I got 8.
I feel pretty good about that.
7 is a very respectable score, considering last week most of us were doing 1s and 3s.
If it was about math, I would have just been sitting here crying while you read the pictures. Or the pictures. That's why you need pictures instead of words and numbers.
It was a lot of the questions last week were based on this person gives you this percentage of this. If their health is this, how much? It was like, oh my god, my head's spinning. And when you'd been last week, that was about right around the 3-hour mark. So
yeah,
I did drink last week, so I had drank. It was 3 hours in, and I'm like, maths is not for me right now.
Yeah.
So. All right, then. Well, once again, thanks for coming on, man. If you have not listened to the Galactic War Report, I suggest you go find them on iTunes or any of those podcatchers and check them out because they are very good and a lot of fun. So, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
We'll have to do this again sometime for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Sounds good. All right. Well, for everyone out there listening, we appreciate you. Come check out our Discord, discord.me/Shattered Order, where you can influence the things we do on the show with QAs. We talk all week, and pretty much we love the community feedback to help us out with what we do. So go check that out this week, and then you will be able to find out exactly when we are starting the live stream next week. So... yeah, until then, thanks again, Mr. H. Thanks for the Galactic War podcast, for having Wink on, and we'll catch you next time.
Sounds great.
Later, man.